Well, boys and girls, here we go again. Apparently my modification of ultralight aircraft trailers has spurred some interest in other pilots. You know, they get together and they look at each other's stuff and they stumble across my friend's little trailer, which was the second one I had done, by the way. And this one showed up in my shop. Without the 40,000 plus aircraft inside. So you see the wood. So right there's a metal post and a place where the front landing gear wheel, which looks kind of like that, drops in. But the ramp arrangement, in case somebody is wondering why it's going up that big ramp and then dropping down, that's because I'm going to walk over here. You see a very large opening there. This is about, I don't know, pretty close to 7 feet tall because I am 6'1". And the back of this aircraft has what looks like a big fan, you know, it's like a propeller in a cage. And that cage just barely fits through that door. So if you come in with the front wheel on the deck, as it comes straight in, at some point the back wheels ride up and hit, and the top of that bar hits there. So it has to come up at a very extreme angle for that to miss hitting right up here. So we did some calculations on where to do it. Now the prior people, they use this 2x4, 2x6 ramp to get it in the door, and then they set it down in a little pocket to help stabilize it while they tie it down. But that involved someone picking it up and dragging it up in here by hand and getting it all fitted in. Well, I'm going to put a winch right here with a key fob remote, and I'm going to make a track for this thing to come up in there just like the last one. So ultralight aircraft trailer modification part 3. Stand by. So after a trip to the scrapyard, found this piece of thick wall 3.5 OD and some channel iron. But the big find I found was this guy. It's an old motorcycle ramp. It's different than modern ones because it's down in. So, yeah. And I also, as a tidbit, found this thing laying in a scrap pile. Could always use one of those. So there it is. So there's the metal to begin with. And then Badlands winch and a jumper box to be converted into a power supply for this winch. And that winch is the kind that uses a key fob, but there's no wires. Very nice. So yeah, it begins for the 3rd time. I don't need that real nice plan. The pipe's a little too heavy, but it's the smallest one I could find. Yeah, I'll tell you that. So here I got the stuff. These are a couple of parts off of an old restaurant table or stool or something. Chunk of flat steel and this piece of pipe. Let's see where I get if I zoom this down. I'm gonna move it. Not bad. This is a tip for fabricators. see where I'm at. Okay, yeah. I don't know if you can see it on that video, but right here, I took a file and it made a really good notch. And where that notch is exactly where the seam is. Now this is a piece of tubing, so it doesn't actually have a seam you can feel, but you can see it. And so I mark exactly where that seam is. That seam is in the same place on the other end, so I mark those two ends this way, and then I'm always able to reference this pipe when I'm positioning something to weld to it. That's the tip, right? So, you know, these are the basics parts. This is going to be to mount the winch to. It'll be like that. And then the winch will be on top of it, you know, like so, because this guy's horizontal. Right now I'm going to buff this up with a flap disc to get all the rust, the surface rust off. But the thing about Arizona, especially out here in the Sonora Desert, this stuff doesn't rust. Take it 50 years to rust. So, if even then. So, yep. Here we go.
Yellow and white, but we decide which is right and which is an illusion.
Dun dun dun. A little bit of threading action. Oh, that is not right. Over here. Oh, that's weird. Something's way out of kilter. Oh, what is going on here? See, it's fortunate that it was such a large error. Because if it's only a few thousand, you might not notice it if you don't look at the DRO. And I did, and I was like, what the heck? 100,000's off. This one I'm piling it with a stubby 5/16. And I go back up to the 9/32, which is the tap drill size for 5/16 18. And this is one of those in between sizes that they're not real common, and so I like to take care of it so I don't really go crazy with it. I use a quarter to pile it. So when you make sure that one of your tap size drills in certain sizes are taken care of, you know, so they don't. That one's actually got some chips in it, so because I didn't take care of it before. A little chamfering action. Let's slow that down. That's still too fast. That's right. Tapping action. Do 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 do. All right. Give her a good tweak. See, run the correct speed, the correct direction of rotation. Very nice, very nice. All right, let's see. Get it over where I can see it before I take it out of the hole. You never take it out of the vise until you're sure you're ready to take it out of the vise. Does it work? Oh yeah, yeah, sure. She's a fine fit, mister. Like it. All right, so this little critter is the winch plate, you know, where it's going to bolt beyond the end of the pipe. So I'll do a little hand job on this camera. I hope I don't make anybody nauseous. It's up tight close. Those two brackets right here is where the little guide rollers bolt on right there. The winch bolts here. And right now it's just sitting there. Remember that notch? Here's the notch. See the notch there? I use that to establish center of the pipe and mark it, you know, down the middle of the bracket. It's all lined up. Now we just weld it. I'll tack it and then flip it up into the vise and weld it all good. All right, I threw 3 tacks real quick so it doesn't tilt. That bolt hole's a little close to the where I'm gonna weld, so I probably have to friggin' tap it out, but that's all right. There's my hole. So I kind of got this guy kind of close. It was, I don't know, 20 minutes or something. Let's see. See if oh, that feels like it's going in a thread right there. There's a little bit of thread on this side. There's a bit. Oh, cut. All right, it starts. Barely. Oh, there it is. Gotta cut real careful. Even though I am loath to put oil on something that I'm about to paint, sometimes you have to. So if you weld on a hole you're going to tap later, got to make darn sure that it cools down real slow, or you're going to get a hardened, you could have hardened material. Or if you're using a welding rod that is hardened metal that dries, that cools down, it can be real hard to throw a tap in there. I'm gonna go real easy because it's only one side of the hole that's got a hump. So I'm turn it back to cut every chip. Hey guys, so the next step in making this winch system for the trailer is the power supply. And the way I do it is I use these little quick disconnectors. Let's take a look. There's a kit. Now, if you stare at it long enough, you might remember that part number, but anyway. So to do it, because you want to be able to just plug this in and use it for the trailer and unplug it and use it as a jumper box. So I'm about to take this thing apart and see what's inside that sucker. So I guess it starts with taking the sucker apart. For one thing, I'm sure this is going to interfere. Yeah. So don't try this unless you know what you're doing, man. This is like big battery in there. Looks like 6 screws down in deep holes. That's why I like my big long screwdriver. Let me bring this guy closer. You don't need to see my ugly ass, right? Can you hear me? You don't need to see me. Let's see. So here you go. There's the inside. Right down here is a charger for like a cell phone or something. It's just a plug in the wall charger, and its power wire goes up. Where'd it go? Disappears. Right? Oh, there it goes. Yeah, it's right here. That's the charging wire. Here's a negative and a positive for the air compressor. There's the big battery. Yeah. So what I need to do is tap into these two guys and bring some wires to the exterior for a plug. Should be fun. Okay, here it is. Take this guy out. I pick this guy up and turn it around and see that it's bolted in here. They're real long bolts, but don't matter. There's nothing in there. If it had a problem with the bolts, I cut them off. But this guy goes right here. So when it's in operation, this box will stand like this. Down there, it's shielded. And there you can plug in. I tend to hook these guys straight to the battery. So you plug it in, it's on. I don't want to run that winch current through the switches in the battery. Just don't want to do it. Yep. Very nice. All right then. Soldering. This is a 4/0 wire and a 4/0 copper piece. Let me zoom it in. So notice how I'm holding it. I'm holding the wire way back here, and it's just straight. I got it lined as straight as I can, and it's just sitting on a tabletop. If you don't have a metal table, you can put a brick or something and do the same way. That way you can solder it with a torch, which is, butane torch. So that's the plan anyway. But I'm going to fill it all up. Don't be tempted to crimp these on. Let me tell you, I'm an electric guy. Just don't. Tape don't work if you don't have a good connection. That's all I'm saying. Okay, stand by. So the idea is I want to get down here and heat this up until it's hot enough to melt the solder, and then I'll introduce the solder. Notice I'm shooting the flames away from all of the plastic. And I've got it where it hits the flat, and that it'll collect a lot of heat right there. You can tell when the color starts changing and it's hot enough. When it's getting right about there, the copper starts looking dark. See, that backside isn't hot. Give it a little heat. All right, solder just sucked on in. Once you see it fall down all the way in, you're golden. That was the rosin in the solder. But this big wire, it will soak up a whole lot of heat. There it comes. Now it is that entire connection is full of solder. so no moisture or any acid or water, anything. Nothing can get into that part. So all I have to do is put a heat shrink on this part and I've got a watertight connection. Cool. One more to go and I'm done. All right, let's see how well this is still hooked on and get her off of there. Still kind of hot. Can't really put a heat shrink on when it's too hot. Come on. Oh, there you go. That's about the right spot. Grab my heat gun. Everybody's got to be sucked flat. Now this one. Ow! Whoa, that puppy's... I'm done looking at it. It's still pretty hot. Anyway, that's the part about heat shrinking. Yikes. Don't touch the hot part, dumbass. All right. Reverse the procedure, so to speak.
All right,